It's our pleasure to hear from Eric Parker. He is the founder, president of Clubhouse, and co-founder of Make Startups. Eric brings years of experience in innovation, architecture, design, community strategy, marketing, and public relations together to help communities and individuals build economic independence. Eric's work has been published in Bloomberg Business Week and featured in Stanford D-School publication, Make Space: How to Set the Stage for Creative Collaboration. Since founding the Clubhouse in 2012, his work has brought him to state capitals, U.S. Congress, and the White House to speak and advise governments on how to support local innovation. So again, Eric's here in Augusta, works down at the Cyber Center, and it is my privilege to have him zoom in from downtown Augusta. Thank you for joining us, Eric.
Hi, everybody. So it's funny when you listen to an intro like that and you realize that all of that's just the byproduct of being a really horrible employee. And so I've tried to chart my own path as an entrepreneur to see how I still feel like I'm doing something in my community, that I'm productive, and getting to have a little sense of that freedom of doing the things that drive your passions in the best way possible. So basically today what I hope to do is give you an overview of the Clubhouse. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with us, and even those that are familiar with us, what I often find is that because we touch so many different areas in this community, that there's a big confusion about what we do. So I have a short presentation. I'll go ahead and share some slides for you. Get that queued up really quick. So really what the Clubhouse is about is how to grow a startup ecosystem in the Augusta area. There we go. Let's see, let's go to. So, and I think that the first question I often get is really why grow a startup ecosystem? Because I think a lot of times employers in the area will look at us as though we're the entity that's going to get their employees to leave and go start their own business, and it's going to make their business more difficult. And it's actually the ideas behind growing a startup ecosystem are very much rooted in a lot of studies that show that virtually all net new job creation in America is created by new businesses. It's that first start of a business when something goes rapidly from an idea to really an average of 5 employees in America, and that with entrepreneurs, at least 80% of them will succeed through their first year. And then as they begin to get more and more into their business challenges, that some of them will survive and some of them won't. But it's this churn of these new ideas and these new approaches to how we really conduct capitalism in America that really plays a vital role in the health of our communities, the wealth of the people that we have here, and really how many people are able to participate in an economy. I'm sure everybody here is very aware of the GDP numbers that came out this week, and it's pretty daunting. But if you look at entrepreneurship as a part of the solution, and you see how much capacity we have to grow there, I think it becomes pretty exciting. So we look at a startup ecosystem as really 3 pillars. One is technology, the other is entrepreneurship, and the other is investment. And the Clubhouse really touches into all 3 of those. Let's see. Okay, so on the technology front, we really focus in 4 key areas. The first is train. So we run a code bootcamp out of our space that we're in our 10th cohort right now. And we basically take people from the community, usually disadvantaged folks that have little to no experience with computers, or especially with programming. And in 12 weeks, we train them in full stack web development. So they learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So yeah, the Code Bootcamp is one of our signature programs. And so through that, we've trained, at this point, 60 to 80 people in our community in how to code. And we've had an 80% job placement rate for them in the community. And it's really taking people that are at or below poverty level, and training them into jobs to work for local companies. We run internship programs related to this, job shadowing opportunities, but it's a big component of what we do, and a huge part of the energy of our space. The other part is community, and you'll see this recur a lot through what we do. I think everybody at Rotary probably understands the value of fellowship with other people who have something in common. And with us, we host a number of different meetups, and that can be something ranging from a group called Augusta Developer that gets together so that everyone can learn from each other about how to be a better web developer or software developer, to hackathons that we might organize, where we have competitions that create challenges that people can try to solve. But then we also organize events, and I separate the category because we organize large-scale conferences. Some of you might be aware of, TEDx Augusta, which is something that we have done. But then we also organize things like Super Happy Block Party, which was essentially, I would equate it most to an arts and crafts festival for nerds, where people are showing off robots and rocket-powered bands and things like that, to doing things like the Southern Dev Conference, where we get developers from across the Southeast to come and talk about best practices in development. And then we also have the pillar of actually doing research and development in technology. So we have a division called the Clubhouse Labs that will actually develop new technologies, help people commercialize products that they have. And we really try to specialize in helping people go from an idea up to $1 million a year in revenue. And so we can help them prototype something and then solve the initial manufacturing challenges. And we might even have light manufacturing capacity for people in small batches, depending on what type of thing they're making. And so, what we have at our disposal are, we have a 3D print lab with over 20 3D printers. We have multiple laser cutters, CNC routers. We have equipment to prototype and manufacture printed circuit boards. So basically, you can build anything from a chair on the CNC machine to a complete robot with the rest of the equipment and the circuit board printer. There. Okay, so entrepreneurship is the next pillar, and that really is comprised of, one, we have a co-working space, which obviously with COVID has been a bit challenged, but we operate a 7,000 square foot space at the Georgia Cyber Center. Historically, pre-pandemic, we had about 240 members in the space that would come and work, and everybody works at flexible schedules, whatever makes sense for them. But the idea is to provide a low-cost resource so that someone can have a desk space to work at with power and internet and all the utilities included. And a membership in the clubhouse starts at $20 a month. It goes up to $1,000 depending on if you want a full private office and 24/7 access. But the idea is, how do you remove the barrier so that people can just get to work and start executing on their idea? Again, we have community here, so we do things like a program called 1 Million Cups. So 1 Million Cups is a recurring gathering where we have 2 entrepreneurs present, and we have a community of business leaders that hear their presentation, and we all come to it from the perspective of what can we as a community do to help you grow your business. And so with that, we try to touch at least 100 entrepreneurs a year through that program. This year, again, it's a little bit impacted because of COVID, but we've been able to see a lot of entrepreneurs and help them out. We also do networking events when we're allowed to. Our favorite one's called Beer and Bites, where we go on the roof of the Cyber Center and everybody gets a little liquid courage, and we help everyone have conversations and make new business connections. Again, we do events with this. We've done things like the Southeast Startup Challenge, where we actually organized 5 cities across the Southeast to try to address specific business challenges in the health sector. We also organized a health tech expo with Augusta University, and done a number of events to try to create really demo opportunities so that entrepreneurs can meet investors and meet potential customers through what they're doing. And then we offer training for this as well. That really is, we've done it primarily through a program that we call Startup Life, where we provided a room and board for entrepreneurs for a year, as well as training and mentorship. And what we do is we pair, once people have gone through a 12 to 16 week curriculum, we pair them with a business leader in the community to be their mentor and to really just help them by meeting once a week and having someone to talk through their challenges with. And then the last part is investment. And so this is really, I try to keep it more than just commercial capital, although commercial capital is a big part of it. And I think that's where the CSRA struggles the most right now. But it's the work that we do is how do you get the government sector, nonprofits, and businesses to all support the growth of new people in technology and entrepreneurship, so that they actually can obtain, whether it's a loan from a bank or private equity or venture capital or so forth, to grow their business. So I wanted to highlight a few of the real key projects that we've done, especially in the last 6 months to a year. And this sort of speaks to why I think that the Clubhouse is important in our community. And the first one I want to point out is that we made 1,000 masks for first responders in the Augusta community. We essentially had the Augusta EMA reach out to us at the start of the pandemic because the supply chains were so broken at that time. And they had seen some information about how 3D printers can make masks and other devices. And we actually did everything from helping them reverse engineer some ventilators that they had found in storage from, I guess, a previous pandemic, I guess the SARS-1 or something like that, that they were hoping if we could reverse engineer that, they could mass produce them. We developed some boxes for doing intubation so that they could protect doctors from patients. But the real one that got a lot of traction was developing this reusable mask. And we actually designed and patented our own filtration system at the Clubhouse for this. We're using off-the-shelf air filters and essentially shop towels to combine those into this, and then we weld them together, and the masks themselves are made on 3D printers. But we've been able to test this with labs at the aerospace lab, or not aerospace, the aerosol labs at Georgia Tech, and we've been able to meet a 96% filtration level for the 0.3 micron and above particles. And we're currently working on we were just awarded a commercialization grant from Georgia Economic Development to try to take this product and bring it to market in a broader way. So that was a really successful effort that we took on. The other one, and this one is in its more early stages, but we're working with several agencies with the city of Augusta to help bridge the digital divide. So we, this fall, we're going to start launching the beginnings of an internet service that would cover at least 2,000 underprivileged homes throughout Augusta where they can't currently afford internet access. Really doing our best to move as fast as we can with this project, because there's a lot of families that if school has to go back to remote, their children won't be able to participate because they don't have access. We also do a lot of work in the workforce development advocacy space. So I actually spoke at Congress about this a couple of years ago, and looking at ways that we can better utilize workforce development funds to support, really in our case specifically, entrepreneurship training. It's something that's been written into the legislation, actually in seven different places, but it's a very difficult thing to comply with. And we actually have started an accrediting agency that will allow organizations like the Clubhouse all over the country to tap into federal funds, which, if successful in the next 5 years, should get to a point where it's helping create 40,000 jobs a year in America. We've also awarded over $300,000 in scholarships to students in the area. This is both adult training scholarships for them to take our Code Bootcamp class, as well as youth scholarships to do a program that we call Maker Fellowships, where we help the kids do independent study projects in technology fields that they're interested in. And we've had a great success rate with those kids going off to really well-known schools, as well as the ones that were older now actually entering the workforce and working for some of our local companies. And we've also given away over $400,000 in commercialization grants since we began. So this is money directly put in to support startups to either further develop their technology or help bring their product to market. So through this, we've helped support over 100 new businesses in Augusta and helped create 1,000 new jobs over the last 8 years. And I hope that that gives you a good overview of what the Clubhouse does and how we do it. Remove a little bit of the mystery, but it's definitely a work that we're passionate about. And if anyone here is interested in mentoring an entrepreneur or getting a junior web developer to come for a job shadowing opportunity or for a short-term internship, those are things that we're very interested in promoting. And I'd be remiss if I didn't include the fact that we are a nonprofit, so we always love donations if anybody is interested in that. But that's my presentation. So I guess I can take any questions.
Eric, what's the biggest barrier to expanding your coding training program?
Right now, the biggest barrier is the job market. There's been a big contraction in the job market. So the last cohort that we graduated of 12 students, we actually have 12 students that are still looking for a job now 2 months later. And so we're looking at scaling back our Code Bootcamp to a cap of 5 students right now, just so that we're not flooding the market with talent and making sure that we're giving good opportunities to students that take it.
Eric, we have one question. How many folks have gone through the program? Yeah.
The Code Bootcamp program?
No, just the whole program that you've got incubating.
So we've measured that we've had 25,000 people in some capacity over the years that we've worked with. Now that can be anything from event attendees to members in the space to people who have participated in a startup program. We have 230 members in the space right now, and that's a fairly consistent number. With COVID, that's probably dipped to more in line with 160 to 180. But I would say at any given time, we have at least 3 dozen businesses that work out of our space.
Eric, I know one of the challenges you've had is getting a consistent angel investor group here in Augusta. How's the progress been in pulling that together?
The only investment capital that we've been able to find, and don't get me wrong, I completely understand that this makes sense as an investor, but investors in this market want to invest in a company that has established traction in a market and in some form of revenues, which is completely logical. At the same time, I think that the challenge that we need to address is finding a mechanism to invest in the idea and early formation stage of companies so that there's enough capital available for them to solve the market problems. Because what we're seeing right now is a trend over the last 8 years. When we first started, there were a lot of entrepreneurs that were trying to do the big moonshot ideas. Let's really try to develop a high-tech company. But that takes a good bit of capital to do the development work behind it. And so what's the shift that's occurred now is that even though we have a huge influx of talent with cyber and so forth, The entrepreneur space is gravitating to much smaller things that can be revenue positive quickly. And I think that, I mean, it's ultimately, it's a healthy thing, but I think if we want to develop the game changer businesses in that technology space, we're going to have to solve the early seed capital stage before someone who can get a job making $100,000 a year as a coder or a cybersecurity expert, so that they would feel comfortable taking the risk and leaving that security to go after the high-tech job or the high-tech company.
Any other questions?
How are the scholarships funded? Just curious like that.
Yeah, scholarships come from a few sources. Some of it is through federal workforce dollars. Some of it is scholarships that are specifically for military families that we're able to get through some of the work that we do with the CSRA Veterans Foundation. We also have been able to raise funding through the state of Georgia, through the Georgia Technology Authority for that. So it's been multiple pathways. And then some of them are other just private philanthropic grant funds that we've gotten. So Women in Philanthropy has been a big supporter for some of these things, as has the Porter Fleming Foundation.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric. Appreciate you zooming into our meeting today. That was a great presentation, and look forward to see you down at the clubhouse soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. I hope to host everybody at some point. So,
Awesome.
see you.
ROT